you're very intentional in the way you plan. I've noticed that just listening to your timelines and your way of just moving through your career and your plans. You're very intentional in everything that you do.
I try to be, but when you're working for an employer and they're not as intentional as you are, or because of social stigmas and things that stand in the way of moving forward, it's a problem. Now, one of the reasons why I left the WUSS station, there were societal issues, there were economic issues. A lot of the community folks did not want to advertise. It was tough for the owners to make the payroll. And hey, life is difficult, and it
Right.
continues to this day in Black media and Black radio. It's rough. It's rough to be successful. My local station here where I live, they're going through pains and heartaches right now because sometimes we don't support our own institutions and our own media, and that's a problem.
Where do you see radio in relation to all of the other avenues of communication? Because radio and TV used to be it. Social media, YouTube.
But streaming, I mean, a lot of people are
Yeah.
streaming now.
Radio is has seen better days, let me put it that way. With a lot of podcasts now, with online streaming. And I do have a chapter on online streaming because I had an online streaming station for 15 years, as a matter of fact, doing that part time. It's tough because of automation. Automation has taken away some of the artistic human factor when it comes to crossing between two records, saying what the announcer has to say. A lot of radio now is automated. In many places, you don't even have a DJ anymore.
Right.
I would say talk radio is probably almost as strong as some music radio in most cities. Unfortunately, talk radio leans towards the right. I'm lucky I'm in the Philadelphia region, so I get to listen to the local Black talk radio station, which is great. I love it. But I still listen to music stations too. But in terms of where radio is going, even in public radio, there is a big movement now to have listeners up the ante and make those donations and to fund the public broadcasting stations. Public broadcasting just means it's not for profit.
Right. And normally public broadcasting, they raise their budget through fundraisers, sometimes annual or semi-annual or whatever. And same thing with public television too.
Yeah, and as we know, there's a thought in the current administration to totally defund public broadcasting. Now,
Right.
let me just mention NPR because that was the final step in my career journey. I worked for NPR, the network in Washington, D.C. I was there 17 and a half years. But NPR only gets about 1%, 2% of its budget from the federal government. It's really small. And I believe if public television and public radio are defunded, I think people are going to step up to the mic and up their percentage. Usually it's around 10%. Some stations, it's a little bit more than 10%. But public radio came around early on. Actually, you can even go back to the Civil War when land grant universities were created. And it was these land grant universities, especially in the middle of the country, they are the ones that got the FCC licenses. And the whole strategy behind land grant universities and the radio and TV was to teach technology, mathematics, and art. Sound familiar? It's the same thing as STEM nowadays: science, technology, engineering, and math. So when the public television legislation was formed in the 1950s and then public radio, after that, in the early 60s, it was the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They kind of changed the name, and then NPR was created around 1971. And their first program was a program called All Things Considered. So I have a very interesting background. I mean, I worked in Black radio. I worked in Top 40 radio. I worked in adult contemporary radio. I worked in jazz.
online streaming, satellite radio, which we haven't even talked about, and then public radio. So it's quite an interesting journey that I did over, let's say, 43 years professionally, some as an amateur too.